Before we start, hit that subscribe to support the channel and let me know in the comments where you're watching from. My name is Dr. Sarah Chen, and what I'm about to tell you will fundamentally change everything you believe about human civilization, ancient history, and our place in the universe. For 12 years, I carried secrets that ate away at my conscience like acid through steel. I held clearances that officially don't exist, worked on projects that never happened, and witnessed discoveries that would rewrite every history book on the planet. I was a xenoarchaeologist, a field so classified that fewer than 30 people worldwide even know it exists. We weren't studying human artifacts or ancient pottery. We were analyzing technology and structures left behind by beings who walked this earth long before humans ever drew breath. And what we found beneath the sands of Egypt, hidden in chambers that predate the pyramids by thousands of years, will shatter every assumption you have about who built these monuments and why they were constructed. You need to understand something right now. I'm not some conspiracy theorist making wild claims on the internet. I have a doctorate in archaeology from Stanford, 20 years of field experience, and security clearances that required psychological evaluations more invasive than anything you can imagine. I followed protocols, maintained silence when ordered, and kept my mouth shut even when every fiber of my being screamed that humanity deserved to know the truth. But sitting here now, facing a terminal cancer diagnosis that gives me maybe 6 months, I've decided some truths are too important to take to the grave. When I signed those documents 12 years ago, they made one thing crystal clear. If you talk, you don't just pay the price yourself. Your family pays, your colleagues pay. Your entire professional legacy gets erased like you never existed. They never directly threaten violence, but they choose their words so carefully that you understand exactly what they mean. For years after the project ended, I had nightmares. I'd wake up drenched in sweat, seeing those chambers again, feeling the weight of discoveries that could transform human understanding overnight. My husband would ask what was wrong, and I could never tell him. How do you explain to someone you love that everything they learned in school about ancient history is fundamentally incomplete? So why am I speaking now? Simple. The cancer is going to get me before they have a chance to silence me permanently. My husband passed 2 years ago. My children are grown and living their own lives. And honestly, after carrying this burden for over a decade, I'd rather die knowing I tried to give humanity the truth it deserves. What I'm about to share isn't speculation or theory. This is documented evidence of contact with non-human intelligence, proof of advanced technology existing on Earth thousands of years before conventional archaeology says it should be possible, and verification that the greatest monuments of the ancient world were not built by the civilizations we credit with their construction. It was October 2012 when my life changed forever. I was working on a routine excavation project near the Giza complex, analyzing pottery shards and burial practices from the 4th dynasty. Standard archaeological work, nothing that would normally require military oversight or classified protocols. Then, on a Tuesday morning, everything shifted. I received orders to report immediately to a briefing at an unmarked building 20 minutes from our dig site. When I arrived, 6 individuals in identical dark suits were waiting alongside my project director. No introductions, no pleasantries, just cold efficiency that made my skin crawl. The lead figure opened a briefcase and pulled out documents covered in classification stamps I'd never seen before. Dr. Chen, you've been selected for a project of critical importance to national security. You have exactly 60 seconds to accept or decline. If you decline, you return to your current work and this conversation never happened. If you accept, your life changes permanently. What's your decision? 60 seconds. Not enough time to ask questions, not enough time to understand what I was agreeing to. Just enough time to make a choice that would haunt me for the next 12 years. I accepted, and within hours I was being transported to a facility that officially doesn't exist, briefed on discoveries that would challenge everything I thought I knew about human civilization. The briefing happened in a sterile conference room 3 levels underground. No windows, no natural light, just harsh fluorescence and walls lined with security cameras. The project director, a woman who introduced herself only as Director Walsh, showed us classified ground-penetrating radar scans from beneath the Giza Plateau. What we saw defied explanation. Massive chamber systems extending hundreds of feet underground, geometric patterns too precise for ancient construction techniques, and metallic signatures indicating materials that shouldn't exist in structures supposedly built with copper tools and wooden ramps. The chambers weren't just beneath the pyramids. They extended for miles in every direction, creating a vast underground complex that dwarfed anything previously discovered. "Dr. Chen," Director Walsh said, "conventional archaeology has barely scratched the surface of what lies beneath Giza. What we found down there challenges every assumption about ancient Egyptian capabilities, about the timeline of human technological development, and about who was actually responsible for these constructions." She clicked to the next slide, showing photographs that made my breath catch. Hieroglyphs, unlike anything in the archaeological record, carved with precision that suggested advanced tools. Mathematical formulas that wouldn't be discovered by human civilization for another 3,000 years. And symbols, geometric patterns that seemed to move and shift when you looked at them directly, creating optical effects that hurt to observe for extended periods. But it was the final photograph that broke something fundamental in my understanding of reality. A wall carving showing humanoid figures, but wrong in every detail. Too tall, proportions that didn't match human anatomy, heads elongated in ways that suggested different evolutionary development. And these figures weren't depicted as gods or spiritual beings. They were shown working alongside humans, teaching, guiding, actively participating in the construction of monuments we credit entirely to Egyptian engineering. The figures in these carvings weren't mythological representations. They were documentary evidence, historical records carved in stone by people who witnessed events we've categorized as impossible. Evidence that the greatest achievements of ancient Egypt were collaborative efforts between humans and beings that conventional history refuses to acknowledge ever existed. Over the next 3 days, I was briefed on discoveries that spanned decades of classified research. Technologies found in sealed chambers that operated on principles our modern science was only beginning to understand. Materials that showed no signs of decay despite being thousands of years old. And most disturbing of all, clear evidence that contact between humans and non-human intelligence wasn't a recent phenomenon, but something that had been happening throughout human history. Human history. The evidence wasn't just archaeological. It was technological, biological, and completely paradigm-shifting. Director Walsh led us to a secure viewing room where they'd assembled artifacts recovered from the deepest chambers. When I first laid eyes on these objects, my scientific training struggled to process what I was seeing. The first item appeared to be a simple metallic disc, roughly 8 inches in diameter. But when subjected to spectrographic analysis, it showed material composition unlike anything on Earth. Elements that weren't on our periodic table, arranged in crystalline structures that shouldn't be physically possible. When exposed to certain electromagnetic frequencies, the disc would levitate, rotating slowly while emitting a low harmonic frequency that seemed to resonate in your bones. But it was the second artifact that truly shattered my worldview. A device roughly the size of a smartphone, made from that same unknown material, covered in symbols that seemed to shift and change when observed. When one of the research team members accidentally made contact with the surface, the device activated. Holographic projections filled the room, showing star charts, mathematical equations, and what appeared to be construction blueprints for the pyramid complex. The projections weren't random images. They were interactive, responding to gestures and thoughts in ways that suggested the device was reading neural patterns. When I reached toward one of the star charts, it zoomed in, showing planetary systems with precision that matched our most advanced astronomical data. But these charts showed information we'd only discovered in the last decade. Information that supposedly wasn't available to ancient civilizations. "Dr. Chen," Director Walsh said quietly, "this device has been in that chamber for at least 4,000 years. The astronomical data it contains includes the discovery of planets we only confirmed in 2009. The mathematical formulas solve problems our best physicists are still working on. This isn't just evidence of advanced ancient technology. This is proof of knowledge that transcends our current understanding of what was possible in the ancient world. The team consisted of 12 specialists, archaeologists like myself, physicists, linguists, materials scientists, and individuals whose expertise was so classified I never learned their exact roles. What united us was the gradual realization that we weren't studying human artifacts. We were analyzing technology created by intelligences that possessed knowledge far beyond anything achieved by ancient Egyptian civilization. Dr. Marcus Webb, a physicist from MIT, spent weeks analyzing the metallurgy of the artifacts. His findings were disturbing. The molecular structure showed evidence of manufacturing techniques that required technology we're only developing today. Precision at the atomic level, materials engineering that suggested mastery of physics principles we're still discovering. This isn't just advanced for its time, he told me during one of our evening briefings. This is advanced for our time. Whoever created these objects understood materials science, quantum mechanics, and electromagnetic theory at levels that surpass our current capabilities. We're not looking at primitive technology that seems advanced. We're looking at technology that is genuinely more sophisticated than anything we can produce. The linguistic team made equally unsettling discoveries. The symbols found throughout the chambers weren't just decorative. They were functional, encoding information in ways that suggested three-dimensional mathematical thinking. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, a specialist in ancient languages, spent months attempting to decode the script before making a breakthrough that changed everything. The writing system operates on multiple levels simultaneously, she explained. Surface meaning, mathematical relationships, and what appears to be quantum information encoding. It's as if each symbol contains layers of information that become accessible only when you understand the underlying physics. This isn't just writing. This is information storage technology disguised as hieroglyphs. But the most disturbing discoveries came when we began exploring the deepest chambers, areas that required specialized breathing equipment because the air composition was different. Higher oxygen content, trace gases that didn't match Earth's atmospheric composition, as if these spaces had been sealed with a different atmosphere entirely. In the lowest chamber, we found what could only be described as a workshop. Workbenches made from that unknown material, tools that activated when touched, and half-completed projects that suggested ongoing construction activities. But the chamber had been sealed for millennia. The dust patterns, the oxidation levels, everything indicated these spaces had been abandoned for thousands of years. Yet some of the tools were still functional. Energy sources that showed no signs of depletion. Cutting implements that could slice through solid stone like butter. And most unsettling of all, biological samples preserved in conditions that shouldn't have been possible with ancient technology. Dr. Jennifer Hayes, our bioarchaeologist, analyzed tissue samples found in sealed containers. Her results were impossible to reconcile with conventional understanding. The samples showed cellular structures that were recognizably biological but organized in ways that didn't match any known Earth species. DNA that contained sequences not found in any terrestrial organism. They can come for me now if they want. I'm dying anyway. But the evidence is out there, hidden in those chambers beneath the sand, waiting for humanity to find the courage to look. What we discovered changes everything about our origins, our history, and our future. The beings who helped build the pyramids didn't disappear. They're still here, still watching, still waiting for us to evolve enough to join them. And whether we're ready or not, that moment is coming.